gourds. These gourds can be great at autumn and in the wintertime. And I'm going to pick out a few and make it into a snowman. They're in great condition. This one can also make a great snowman. And this one right here, maybe just the face of the snowman. Or perhaps you could put a top on it and make it a little taller. Just some ideas for your gourds. Now you want to wash them and clean them up. Some of them will have like some roughed areas, and some people actually smooth these off real well. I think I'm going to leave mine like they are and just paint them up. This one I had put some paint on, but now that I've decided I want to do a snowman, I'm going to paint it white. And then of course you can always turn them into other characters too. They're just great things that you can use, you already have, that your garden gives you. So let's see how we fare. All painted and glued together. I'm not worried about the space in there because I'll be putting a scarf around his neck. The other thing I have to show you is these felt hats. Now these are the 3-inch felt top hats. I'll leave you a link down below. I'm going to use one of those, which you guys know I generally make all of my felt hats. But this one, I'm just going to glue it on top and take advantage of it. I have 3 silver bells, and I'm going to take my black paint marker and paint these bells for his coals to go on the front for his belly. I'm going to do his face. Eyes are going to be here. Let's do a line and a line. Let's do another line and another line, and do a circle upward to touch those lines. I know I am brave. I am very brave in doing that, but that's okay. I can make this one a little bigger. So that this area up top here is gonna pretty much, let's just do a line here. If you do your left eye first, you'll do a better job. Alright, so that takes care of that part. To make him almost like he's got cheeks, let's do kind of an arched black line there. And over here the same way. It's kind of an arched line there. Give him some lashes. And you can do like on this one, you could do like a little dash on the sides. And on the upper part here, you can kind of do some outward or upward. You can do them this way or you can do them this way. Let me try my hand at going outward. I don't want to try too hard. I'm going to use navy blue. It always is my favorite when it comes to doing the eyes. And you can go right here, just beneath that black. And over here, same way. That's looking cute so far. I'm doing the black right here. I'm going to bring it in tight now and get some more line going there. Make the white just a little bit smaller and add that black. And we're going to try to leave this white that's exposed down here below the blue. Now we're going to put the nose here. So we got to think about the smile is going to be even with the eyes. And you can make his smile crooked. You can do the dots. Usually if I do the dots, I will like start in the center. And then I can work my way up towards the corner of the eyes. And then over here I come down. And then that way he has his smile. And the smile is the personality. And remember, the circles can be close, but they don't have to be like perfect. Remember, we want it to look like a true snowman. I have some fabric, and you can paint the nose. That's generally what I do. But you can take and roll this up until you get it the size you want. And the nose, you could do burlap, about anything, and then use a marker, paint marker or Sharpie, and get it the color that you want. I'm going to see if this one's going to be long enough with this fabric. Most time you want it larger in the back than you do in the front. I'm just rolling that piece of fabric up to see if that is going to be, that's going to be pretty long. So let me do that. Let me roll this up. And then of course, you know, using some hot melt glue, help button it down so that when you're rolling it, you get it tight. And once I've got it all rolled up and trimmed off and make sure everything's glued down, I take my paint marker or I take a Sharpie marker to it. And it just takes a minute to color up that fabric and get it all orange colored. Just super quick, super neat. And it looks good when it's fabric like this. Plus you can, you know, really truly get that looking very much like a carrot because of the texture and detail that's in fabric. So it's just another way, another thing in your toolbox you can use to make your snowman. I have his hat on and his nose in place. Now I can add his bells if I want to. I still need to get his scarf on there. So I thought, well, maybe I'll go ahead and at least get his bells sit onto his chest. And that shouldn't take too much. I do want to make sure that the bell still rings. So I need to make sure that I turn that bell up so that the glue doesn't take over the dinger. Now the blue velvet, this particular one I got on Amazon. I'll leave you a link below. This stuff is gorgeous. I have used it on other projects. It is so perfect. And it matches his eyes. And that is going to look darling on him. It'll cover up where those two are connected. Now you can accomplish the same snowman with 2 styrofoam balls. You could also use the leftover pumpkins from autumn. And, you know, just take and use them and have you a little snowman that's just super cute, easy, fast. Go ahead and bring it under that and see if I can keep that tail showing off. So let me pull it down like that. Alright, that takes care of him. And I cut these at an angle. That way it looks kind of fancy. There we go. Now I can put something right there. I placed a gold piece of velvet that I had left over from a bow and it's a space here, but when I put greenery on there, you won't even notice it. And I have 3 stars that I've been trying to decide which one to put on his scarf. Now that one looks cute, and it's plain. The black one looks really nice and debonair. And then, of course, there's the plain one with no paint on it. And then up here for the hat, I'm going to add some of this fern, I think. And I always usually find some spruce. And these, I can just pull them off and put a few up there. It won't take very much in that little section. And this velvet hat, everything sticks to it really easy. So I'm going to put that tall one there. I'm going to put a short sprig here and just build it out. Now I have me a jar of these pine cones, and I bought this at like Marshall's, and I want to tell you the whole reason why I bought this jar was because of that deer right there. And I like this lid. I think that's really, really neat. And I've had it 2 or 3 years, and it's got all these different birch and pieces of pine cone, but they have this glitter on them, and it's to make this jar look nice and to color it up. But I think I'm liking this white here because I can put my berries there, and it's surprising how much can fit on this little hat. And just working with it and tinkering. So I'm just going about it and just adding elements until I am content with my arrangement here. And that is just making that hat. So the more you can do and tinker and take your time, the bottom of this, to make it set level, these are left over from the witch hats that I did back in the fall, and I put a piece of cardboard there so it helped me find the difference. And I put more glue in that gap just to kind of build it up, but I put this felt bottom, which was off of those hats, to make it set level. And that's just an idea for you in case you have a pumpkin that just really don't want to sit level, or a gourd, such as what I'm using. And I'm going to go about and add these little berries, and the smallest amount really is all those little berries need most of the time. And just being so careful, since I don't have any kind of protection going on here. I added 3 berries with the pine cone, and I decided to go with the black star because he does look so handsome and debonair, like putting on the Ritz. And I have my silver marker here, and I'm just gonna put a little bit of silver on that star, not going crazy, just to accentuate the points a little bit and just give it something more, almost like it needs something in the middle. I don't know. See if rubbing it. He looks very, very handsome. And that's it for our gourd snowman. Here's an item that you might want to consider turning into some of your Christmas decor that has a rustic feel to it and, of course, great purpose. These insulators are collector's pieces, and you can see that this one has really truly been beat around, broken, and had some wear on it. This is an excellent piece to turn into a snowman, which is exactly what I'm going to do. Here's the thing you have to remember: because it's glass, you need to use enamel paints. The enamel paints are easily placed onto glass, and after a period of time, they actually become permanent. So you can bake them on, or you can just apply them and allow them to dry. I'm going to paint up this insulator. I'm going to do the top black and the rest of it white so that I can create a snowman. I wanted to do one of the insulators snowmen, and as you can see here, I have already layered my paint. So you'll do your bottom with an enamel paint because you're painting on glass, and this is really heavy. It won't go anywhere, but they are so adorable. So put your white down here and do the top black for the hat. Now the insulators are different shapes, but this will give you a basic knowledge of how to go about it. This whole area right here will have a ribbon or something tied around it for the hat, and then usually bells and a messy bow or holly and pine cones, different things to decorate up the hat. But this is the generalizing of it. So now I'm going to take the paint markers and put on the details such as eyes, nose, and smile. The insulators are just a fun project, and basically I am using my peace sign as I always do for the eyes, nose, mouth. So you can always do eyes, and then diagonal from the eye is going to be the smile, and coming into one center being the nose. And the way that this one does, because it's such a small area, is I'm just going to make a round black oval for the eye. And then if you notice, there's a seam right here. Also, if you'll do the left before you do the right, you'll be more accurate in the size, and that will make it easier and less bothersome of messing up. Now I'm going to put a small dash, and you see I went upward, but then when I do my right one, I come downward for the eyebrow. And if you notice, this one over here is narrower and not as long. So you can go back and just touch that and fix it, and that's a done deal. Nose is going to be in the center, and you can put blush on the cheeks. You want to do your blush before you put the smile. And since the nose is next, I'll need to take my orange marker, and you can use a Sharpie or you can use a paint marker. And I'm going to see if I can do a nose here. The nose that I really liked, that I looked at, comes up real close to the eye. And it's probably because of the way this is situated. And just kind of using the insulator as a prop and trying to get that back up there. And then of course you're going to paint and fill it in, and that just takes a moment. And then let these dry real good before you start putting any detail in addition to this. And so if I do his smile, it would mess up the nose. So I need to let that good and dry. And these are oil paints, so they're permanent and they will stay. Now the enamel paint, you can bake it and that will dull it down. But if you just let it dry naturally, it'll be completely hardened in 72 hours and permanent within a matter of so many days, usually about 14 days. And you won't have to worry about this chipping off or coming off. And you can scrub it real good if you wanted to, if you really wanted to get that off there. So let me let this paint rest and dry, and then we'll do the rest. So I used my chalk marker to do the cheeks. Now they call it permanent chalk marking, but the truth of the matter is you could wet that and it would come off that enamel paint. Now I need to, per se, make his smile, and I need to also do some lines for his carrot and kind of outline it a little bit. So I'm going to go right here at his cheek and put a dot. I think I want that to be a little larger. I'm going to do the same thing over here. And we know that his nose is going to be blocking one of his coals. So now he has his smile, and then you can outline his nose. And you can use a little white in this too. And then you can kind of go around it. And then you can put a little bit of detail in there. Do them like a comma. And it's hard to make them less per se. And you can calm that down and give it a little more blending in it with some white. And with the white, you just want to put like a little spark in his eye. So you can just put in some dashes in there with a little dot. And that gives some brightness to his eyes. And then right here on his nose, just kind of come in there and do just a little mark just to kind of calm down the black a little bit. My marker is not new, so it does pretty good about letting me do this. Paint marker. That looks pretty good. Before I put his hat on, I'm going to age him up a little bit, and I may do some sanding too, but I'm going to take this nutmeg and see how it reacts on this enamel paint. I'm not sure if it's going to do like the wax will, and hopefully I don't mess it up, but I'm thinking I can get it to maybe antique a little bit with a little bit of this, and I want to make sure I'm careful about it. I don't want to mess up my snowman. That's all it took, is me touching that lid, and that was sufficient. I've got plenty right here. I'm still bringing over here. I want to go real quick and rub that off before it dries. That did really good. Look at that. I couldn't be more pleased with the reaction of that. Look how great that went. Not an overdo at all. That is about right. Yep, I believe that nutmeg antique and medium is definitely going to be a keeper for me. I knew I had liked it already, the way it colored up my reindeer. But wow, look at that. And that's on enamel paint, guys. And that is without sanding anything. Look at that. It just aged that right up. That is wild. I am blown away. I aged him up some more by scuffing him up with my sander. And you just barely do that. And it's going to chew that paint off, per se. And then I did some dashes with some white up around his hat. Went back and retouched the white of his eyes and of his carrot nose, but it reacted with the antiquing, and that's fine too. It looks really good and aged. Now, I am picking out some of my homespun, and I have this. It's actually a navy blue, and it's kind of dark with the cream, so like a blue and tan. And I'm going to just tie that right there in that center. And I'm just going to fold it and tie it. I've added his bow and tied the fabric around his hat here. So it looks pretty neat. I'm going to put some greenery back here. I just think it would put a little bit of color that is needed to the plain. And nothing wrong with plain, it just needs a little more something. And I also picked out a very bigger gold bell that will fit in the complete center of that bow. So I don't know if it would be noticed putting a pine cone back there. And I don't want to flatten out that bow, so I just want to make sure that that greenery is hitting that fabric under there. I'm not sure how well you can make it out, but he is a cutie. I added the greenery and some berries around his hat and the bell. And I think he looks done, and he looks cute and adorable. He'll make a nice piece in my home for Christmas. If you have an insulator, definitely consider decorating it up. This one had breaks and cracks and busts, but as you can see, I had to point that out once it was painted and done up. And the bow is covering all of this area, so you can't even see. And it's really a big chunk out of it. And then this one's just small. And he just looks like nothing's ever been damaged on him. No cracks or breaks. Just perfectly suited. Now, the next thing I'll do is add a tea light underneath this, and it'll illuminate him, and he'll just look fantastic. Target had these nutcrackers in their bargain bin section at the beginning of the store. They had the mouse, the regular nutcracker, and the snowman. The snowman is the one that really got me. And then I thought, let me buy all three of them. Now, they have paints in them. I have never tried the paints in these kits. I generally use my own. So I might, out of curiosity, see about the snowman because it has white, orange, and the black. And this almost looks like an off-white. And of course it has the little cheap paintbrush in there. So we'll see how it fares, and if not, I have my own paints. But I really am loving this because it is wood, and just its natural look, just like it is, would be fine with me. It does not have to be like a white or anything. And I actually entertained just staining this, and of course doing his hat black and his carrot nose. So let me check these out. And let me share what I have on this snowman so far. This is their white, and it has this beige color to it. And this is the orange. Look how vintagey it looks. I love it. I love it. The snowman turned out fantastic. Look at those colors. I love them. They're very primitive, and I love that. They just look awesome. I took a little bit of the variegated jute twine and tied on there, and just used the colors that came with it. I did take and put a black on the top of the handle back here for the nutcracker. Of course, you know, these are non-working. They're just for looks and all. If they did, it would come out further, and we'd be able to fit a nut in there. to crack it. And he just looks great. I could Mod Podge him at this point if I wanted to, or, you know, put some varnish or something on him. But I really like him just like that. He looks super nice. Turned out great, and I did his display black. But the colors, they are quality paints. I will tell you that. Also, bear this in mind, that when you use them, I used all of the off-white, beige white that they have for the body, and I'm going to save this. I'm going to wash and clean it up. This would be great for when you just need a little bit of white or one color or something, where you can grab that up and just do some dry brushing or whichever. And so you could save those little pieces. I actually cut it off and then cut off the nub so it wouldn't be poking on anything. These colors I will use. Look at that. Look at that orange for that carrot. That's the perfect vintage orange. And so I will definitely use that. And then you see how brilliant the black is. Just a beautiful matte black. But they are quality paints. So if you see these in the Target spot, grab them. You will not regret it. And definitely, if they have any more of the Snowman, get you one. You're going to love him. He's just beautiful.